Hey there, comic book fans. I'm John Anderson. I just watched episode 14 of The Flash, and it was really good. Keep in mind, I'm going to be going through key plot points from the episode, so if you haven't seen it yet, here is your spoiler warning. And there it goes. So one of the big standouts from this episode is we get to learn more about Earth 2 Barry, and he's this really nerdy, cowardly person versus Earth 1 Barry, who's very brave and courageous. And I like how Grant kind of gave these two different Barrys their own personality in a sense, but we see that Earth 2 Barry actually may have more elements of Earth 1 Barry than even he recognizes, because he shows a lot of bravery when everybody's going to infiltrate Zoom's lair and he's not really on board with it, but he wants to prove to Iris that he is a man and that he does have some bravery to him. And we see him kind of motivate Earth 1 Barry in a sense when he gives him that speech to like phase through the wall that he's been struggling with the whole episode. And I have an issue with that speech, just kind of more nitpicky, because I would have liked Barry learning to phase through the wall in Earth 2 to be a little more creative, because I didn't like how it was like a rousing speech that was like, oh, now I know how to phase through this wall. But one of the biggest gripes I have with this episode was this idea that we have to constantly visit Earth 1 because Earth 1 has just as many problems as Earth 2. Because you have the breach breaking literally twice this episode, and you have Geomancer coming back, and I wasn't that engaged in the Earth 1 story and issues that were arising because I was so fixated on what was going on in Earth 2. That leads into my next point, that Zoom is such a looming threat in this episode, because we've seen in past episodes, yes, Zoom is the overarching villain throughout the season, but every episode kind of has their meta-human and like, oh, this is the bad guy, and we'll worry about Zoom on another episode. This episode, the whole time, like, I was on the edge of my seat. When is Zoom gonna show up? Because he could show up at any point in Earth 2. When the team finally finds Zoom's lair, and they're trying to get everybody out of there, and you have Harrison reuniting with Jesse, and Earth 2 Barry took Earth 1 Barry, and I'm just like, guys, we gotta move because Zoom's coming at any point. And there's not enough time to save this third person, who is this guy in this helmet that I have no idea who he is. I mean, me and my friend were speculating that it might be Wally West, but I'm not really keen on that because I have no reasoning to suspect that he's Wally West. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below who you guys think he is, because I have no idea. All I know is that he has some connection to Jay Eric, and that's it. So please help me out, and we'll see if we can come to some sort of consensus. So they leave him behind, and we see Killer Frost transition into a good character, because ever since we met Killer Frost from Earth 2, it's just been bad news. And I speculated in my last video, I'll leave a link in the description below, that this idea that she would be working with them because one, she was in the promos, but I feel like that would make sense because he did leave her alive. And as we've seen throughout the series, Captain Cold is one of the Flash's biggest nemesises, and Cold would be a great way to stop somebody like the Flash, or in this case Zoom, which she does and helps them to escape. And it's kind of like this noble sacrifice and gives some great redemption to this character. So we have everybody getting back from the breach, and again, this is edge of my seat stuff because we know as soon as everybody gets out, they close that breach, we don't have to worry about Zoom ever again. Of course, as they're getting out, Zoom catches Harrison and is just like, nobody's going anywhere, and then Harrison actually has a contingency plan for it, which works out, and he stabs him. It temporarily fatigues his speed, and that gets Harrison and Barry out of there. And Jay throws the bomb, and it's about to close the breach, and Jay's standing there, and they're smiling. He's making eyes at Caitlin like, we did it. And in that moment, I was like, he's dead. He's dead, or Zoom's going to come out and grab him. And what happens? He grabs him. Now, my friend thought he killed him because his hand goes like right through him, but I think more or less he's going to just severely injure him and use him as bait to give them a reason to go back to Earth 2 at some point. But that's my thoughts on episode 14. If you guys like this video, be sure to share and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook at John Ryan Anderson, or on Instagram at GodStageFright. And remember, guys, as always, comics do deserve a second look.